So I, 22 female, am dating Greg, 25 male. His mom is Lisa, 70. Last month, we attended a funeral for a family member of Greg and Lisa. After the service, everyone was mingling in the fellowship hall and eating, and Lisa stepped out for a smoke break. I saw her get into the back seat of the car through one of the open church windows while lighting her cigarette. Then she started rummaging in the large bag that I had brought along. I didn't think anything of it, as I had brought the bag to carry any extra things anybody needed, including lighters. I thought that's what she was fishing for. I went back to socializing and supporting Greg. Something relevant that I forgot at the time was that I had left my wallet in that bag. Anyway, I stopped by the gas station 2 days later for some gas and realized I was missing my card from my wallet. I used Apple Pay to get my gas, so I went home and started searching. I also called Greg, who was at his parents' home, and asked if he could search there and see if I had misplaced it somehow. I only take it out of my wallet if I'm using it and then put it right back in, but I thought that maybe I was shuffling things in my wallet, put it down, and forgot about it. I didn't find my card. Greg didn't find it, and I decided to give it one more day before I canceled it, because maybe it would just pop up. I had also not noticed any transactions through my bank app that weren't for me. The next day, Greg texted me, saying he found my card on top of the washer. He said he didn't know how he missed it, but it was there waiting for him when he went to do some laundry. I told him I'd get it from him in a couple of days when he came back to our apartment. The next day was payday. I checked my account to see what I had made, and I noticed a withdrawal for an Amazon order, $350, directly below the direct deposit. I hadn't placed an order for anything from Amazon in weeks, and checking on my account confirmed that. I asked Greg if he had used my card to make a purchase, and he said no, of course not. He would never do so without asking. I canceled the card and reported potential fraud, but then it was discovered that Lisa had used my card for the purchase because she couldn't find hers. She said she would pay me back soon and that she really needed it. I don't know what she bought, but I don't care, considering she stole my card. She also apparently has a history of gambling and stealing. She has taken money from Greg before, and a driving factor of her divorce from Greg's father was that she stole most of his savings while they were separated. He's never recovered the money, but it was almost $500,000. I decided I would involve the cops, and now Lisa's furious, saying I'm being a brat and a lot of other insults, and that I could have just waited for her to pay me back, even though she has a reputation for not paying people. Am I the idiot for pressing charges against my boyfriend's mom? Edit. No, Lisa didn't have Greg at 45. She and her now ex-husband adopted him as an infant. And no, Greg was not in on it. He did tell me about her stealing and gambling problem. He's on my side. Let me make sure you understand. I'll love, but she snuck out in the middle of a funeral, put her hands in your bag in order to, on purpose, find your bank card, then consciously, definitely thought about it, typed your numbers into Amazon, and hit buy. For how much? $350? It's on principle that I would involve the police. You're not wrong at all. And for all of this, Greg can tell his mother she's not welcome in your apartment. It's a problem. Get some Ring cameras. Sorry, I work hard for all my stuff. OP, she stole from you, then tried to turn it around and make you the bad guy? No, thank you. You did the right thing by involving the police. She broke the law and your trust. She should get charged for her actions. Don't back down here. Greg sounds a bit willfully ignorant for not putting two and two together. A card went missing, and he should have immediately suspected his mother. You know how cheaters howl to the moon when they're caught? Thieves are worse, especially family members. There's nothing they don't believe should be theirs. They know you want to trust them, and they prey on that instinct. Absolutely despicable. I feel sorry for Greg. Believe me, she stole your card so coolly and casually that it wasn't her first time. Of course she's going to lash out because she got caught with her pants down. My ex is a teacher. and she just landed her first full-time position with the school board last fall. As a congratulations gift, I told her I would take her anywhere she wanted on vacation. I own my own company and make a bit more than she does, so I can afford to do nice things for her. She chose an African safari. She planned it all out. She chose the lodge, the excursions, and even the city we would fly in and out of to have a few days at a luxury hotel before and after the safari. Well, she also decided that she liked the company of one of the other teachers at her school more than mine. It sucked, but I understood. I work long hours. She wanted more attention than I could provide. It was as amicable as I could make it. I decided to go on the trip anyways, because it sounded kind of cool, and she had done all the legwork. I reconnected with an old girlfriend at a Christmas party, and we got back together. I invited her on the trip. We went and had a great time. She posted a lot on Instagram, and she has like 10,000 followers. She's not an influencer or anything. She's just got a good eye for taking pictures of our city and her experiences in it. The post got back to my ex, and when I got back, she confronted me about going on the trip to spite her. I told her I hadn't even thought of her when I decided to go, invited someone else, or enjoyed the trip. She said I was an idiot because I knew she would never be able to afford a trip like I just went on, and that it was an idiot move to take another woman on a trip she had planned out. Since the trip cost about half of what she makes in a year, I imagine that the first part is right. As for the second part, I just thought it would be a waste to let all that planning not be used. Am I the idiot? Edit. I hadn't paid for anything yet when we went our separate ways. You ended our relationship. What I did with my time and money is no longer any of your concern. She made her choice of partners. You can go on any trip you want. Not the idiot. She has no say in what you do. Did you do it on purpose? Yes. Is it petty? Yes. Could you have done something else? Yes. You hadn't actually paid for anything yet. Should you care? No. Your ex cheated, and you guys broke up. And they probably are never going to get back together. So why should you consider their feelings? Are you never going back to your favorite restaurant just because it was their favorite too? No, because it's stupid. I will give some background. I'm a pretty young grandmother. My daughter Jenny has 2 kids, a tween and a young teen. My daughter remarried a man who has his own children, so I have step-grandkids, both tweens, so a total of 4 kids in this story. I will refer to them as bio and step-grandkids to make it as clear as possible. The bio and step-grandkids don't get along well. Watching from the outside, it's easy to see that the 2 parents are pushing them together. I've heard so many complaints and informed the parents that the forced bonding wasn't helping. They didn't take my advice overall. All the kids had to do everything together. I've been teaching my bio grandkids how to sew for a while. Every year we make a blanket over a few months. The 2 kids love it, and I enjoy the tradition. I informed the bio kids that we'll start the project soon. They seemed excited. I got a call from my daughter asking me to include the step-grandkids. The bio grandkids were talking about the blanket, and it made the other grandkids upset that they weren't invited. So now my daughter called me to include them. I told her no. This is just something I do with my bio grandkids. We've done this for years, and I'm not changing it. I also informed her that forcing them into the tradition would not help the kids. They already dislike their step-siblings. She called me a jerk, and according to my other daughter, it has caused some issues in their family. Oof! Once again, I am enormously grateful my step-grandparents accepted 12-year-old me and made me feel welcome. My feeling from how you phrased it is that you are the idiot. Your feelings of only wanting the bio grandkids are your feelings. Still, if you phrased it the same way to all of them, that's likely to make it harder for everyone to reach a point of being more comfortable. She's not the idiot. You're biased in your opinion. She's trying to keep the one thing the same for her bio grandkids. It's not her responsibility to do the same for the steps when she can clearly see that pushing them together isn't helping anyone. You have no idea if she does other things with them. It's just this specific thing she wants to have with her bios, and she's completely allowed that. I had step-siblings and my grand still always had one-on-one time with me. Biased in your opinion? Bro, this isn't court. All of our opinions are biased. Who's to say yours is more correct than theirs? Entitled much? OP, they're all your grandkids now. I could not imagine looking into the face of a child and telling them, nope, you ain't blood. This isn't for you. Oh, and I'm a pretty young grandmother? You have a misspelling there. It should be, I'm a petty young grandmother. I share custody of my preteen son, Elliot, with my ex. It's mostly split, and we have a calendar that we can revise if needed. Usually we swap them every week, but around holidays, we extend the times. So the ex gets him for half of this month and I get the other half. The reason for this month's schedule is that she was planning to spend Christmas with her SO back at his home state. I wasn't planning on traveling, just Christmas at home. This week, my ex said her SO wanted to take her and Elliot on a skiing Christmas holiday and asked if she could actually have him in the last 2 weeks of December. I said, let me get this straight. You have him for 2 weeks already, and now you're asking for another 2 weeks? Where does that leave me? She told me we could talk about it afterward. I said, no, we can't. I'll let you know what. You give me money up front so he and I can take a summer vacation. She said that was outrageous. I said, not as outrageous as asking me to give up my time up front. And you're refusing to give me anything up front in return. And yes, I'd be willing to negotiate if I asked her to give up time and let it be known and not hang up like she did. My son might not even want to go. He probably would rather stay with Daddy and spend the Christmas break on playdates and sleepovers with his friends. You are the idiot. This is your child, not something to be used as a way to get a free vacation. The fact that the first thing to come to your mind was money instead of wanting to spend time with him is a huge red flag. I would have hung up on you too. Work together to get those 2 weeks back at a later time. After all, you'd rather spend the time with your child than have some extra money, right? Also, please don't make a habit of taking away opportunities from your son just because of the petty things with your ex. Ask your son if he's interested in going skiing. If not, explain to ex. If so, ask the ex to revise the calendar together. Either way, you owe her and your son an apology. I had to read this twice because, what? I can understand OP wants a full month in summer in exchange for a full month with mom. But money for summer vacation? Where's this event coming from? Using his visitation time as a financial bargaining chip? That's just vile and incredibly demeaning. May I recommend a poker game? You can double down on the potential time spent with your child. Jesus, no wonder you're divorced. It's more that he wants a trade-off immediately because it sounds like he may not trust his ex to follow through on an agreement. So money makes sense. To have the time now, you give me money now. Her statement, we'll discuss this at a later date, could mean that I'll forget you gave up your time in Christmas and give you nothing in the future when you ask. It all depends on the co-parenting relationship. I think OP's not the idiot for asking. I, 40 male, have a son, Joe, teen. We live together alone. His mother's not in the picture. I've done my best as a single parent since she disappeared on us when Joe was 4. My son has always been my best friend. I'll admit that I'm not very good at taking an authoritative role. He hasn't really ever given me much reason to. He's always been the kind of kid who just needed a guiding hand in the right direction. He's intelligent, level-headed, and generally a very caring person. Since they met in freshman year, Joe's been dating a wonderful girl named Emma, teen, for the better part of 2 years. She's nice and respectful, and they seem to get along well. About 2 weeks ago, they were spending time in the living room and got into a pretty heated argument. Emma came to me and asked me for a ride home. I let Joe know and asked if he was okay. He said he's a bit frustrated and maybe some space would be a good idea. After a quiet drive to her home, she thanked me and I returned home. I asked Joe what had happened. He explained the situation, not going to put the business out there, just a common argument in couples. And he said he would talk to her once he had a more level head. Everything sounded reasonable. 3 days ago, Joe told me he had a friend coming over. I said no problem, and just let me know if he needs anything. I was exhausted from overtime and knocked out for a bit. I wake up and I hear a woman's voice downstairs. I come downstairs to Joe, who's kissing an unfamiliar girl. I asked Joe if he could help me with something quickly. He says sure, and we head to the garage. I close the door and ask who that is. Joe says she's just a friend. I ask what's going on with Emma. He responds, well, maybe this will get her to pull her head out of her butt. I said, all right, that's not how I raised you. You know what you're doing is wrong. I explained. If you don't tell Emma, I will. This didn't seem to register with him. He shrugged me off and walked off to spend time with his friend. I called Emma's father and let him know what was going on. Joe's then on the phone, getting into an argument. Emma breaks up with him, and he approaches me and gets mad at me. I tell him to accept responsibility, but he refuses. I yell at him to pack his stuff, and that until he can learn he owes Emma an apology and accept responsibility, he will be staying with his aunt. I took his car keys and my sister picked him up, but he left angry. It's been 3 days, and my sister tells me he's still angry, and Joe refuses to reach out to me. I spoke with my friend about the situation, and he told me I should have let it be. Joe knows I don't condone cheating, but maybe my buddy is right. Am I the idiot? You overreacted. At that age, your kid should never have his home taken away. Your kid is a teen and won't settle down with Emma. I totally agree with the argument that calling Emma's dad and setting some sort of punishment for that behavior is necessary. What that punishment should be, I don't know. That's the hard part about parenting. Everyone's the idiot here, but you most of all for forcing your kid to stay elsewhere. The punishment outweighs the crime. You are the idiot. You're not a part of his relationship. You shouldn't be so invested in your kid's high school drama. You're a parent, not a sibling or a friend. Parent your child. Good parents don't kick their kids out for non-legal issues in their romantic lives. How the heck are you 40 and just as immature as some high school sophomores? Go talk to him now. Tell him you were out of line and apologize for overreacting. Then talk more about how to treat women later on down the line. Oh, good God. Does any girl want to hear from her boyfriend's father that he's seeing another girl? You were so out of line for involving her father in this. It's none of your business. This is for your son to navigate, ideally with calm fatherly guidance. You overreacted enormously. I'd be surprised if this doesn't end up in your son distancing himself from you and not trusting you anymore. You owe him an apology. He doesn't owe you anything here. I suspect you're projecting whatever happened with his mother onto this situation. Update. Thanks everyone for the reality check. While my son knows my feelings about cheating very explicitly so, telling him to leave to live with my sister was, in fact, a poor choice. I shouldn't have reacted that way. This is his home and always will be. I just got off the phone with my son, and he apologized for crossing a line I had drawn in the sand, by his words. I apologized to him and said while I don't condone cheating, I shouldn't have made him feel like his home is something that can be taken away from him. I expressed that no matter what stage of life, he will always have a place to land on his feet here in our home. I told him I wouldn't further interfere in his relationships. However, if he chooses to do the wrong thing, to not do it in our home. We had a long conversation, and I think we now better understand each other's boundaries and roles. My son will remain my best friend. There's no one else I'd rather fish with or spend the afternoon talking to. That's not going to change. His friend was unaware he was in a relationship. She's giving him crap for using her, and he did apologize to Emma, but she's obviously very upset, and we'll see how things turn out there. Joe understands what he did was wrong and is obviously upset, facing the consequences of his actions.